presentations that it's 13 flights and 198 veterans.
Well, I'm so glad that Kelvin let me go inside, because what you don't know, wherever and whenever you're watching our little corner, we got a snowstorm in late April around Plattsburgh Air Force Base. So we came inside with our good friend Barrie Finnegan. How are you, Barrie?
Great,
Shake
great.
your hand.
Oh, thank you
for all
coming,
you've
Barrie.
done for veterans.
Well,
Those people who watch Hometown Cable in our little corner are very familiar with North Country Honor Flight. But we're going to make believe today that people don't know squat about it. See that sign over there, North Country Honor Flight? I can remember the first time I heard about it. The first time there was going to be such an organization here, how truly excited I was. None of my own relatives were in the Second World War, although I had uncles in the First World War. But my wife's brother was killed in the Second World War, and she felt as though he wasn't honored as he should have been back home here. And she felt his spirit shining down on her when we were doing the research to make sure when they built the World War II memorial that his name would be there, and that his true name, because there were mistakes made.
sure.
There are mistakes made in every conflict, and in the Second World War there were a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Where are they now? What have they found? They're still finding remains now,
Absolutely.
70 some years later. So somebody got a bright idea to get the North Country Honor Flight going. Were you involved in it in some way from the very beginning, Barrie Finnegan?
No, I came into it on the first send-off.
Oh, you did?
It was the one where you guys all went to Albany on the bus.
And Calvin and I will never forget that.
It's something that'll never forget me either. My goodness, when I think what convinced me is somebody told me, D-Day happened very early. It was cold. It was dark. It was raining. The seas were rough. The water was cold. Those guys went, thank God.
And this is
And
nothing
for me to
compared
come over to the Oval and pay my respects to people that have earned our respect at 5 o'clock in the morning was not that big a deal.
So when was the first flight?
May 13th, 2013.
Is it 3 years already?
It's been 3 years, yes.
Calvin and I have been out there early in the morning a few times.
13 times.
And this year, sadly for you, and kind of sadly for me too, I'm going to be out of town, and so that's why we're recording this a little bit early to go with that flight. Calvin will be there, Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise, that hometown cable camera, which has been at so many significant events, will be at another North Country Honor Flight. But for the benefit of those people who don't have a clue, what is the Honor Flight?
The Honor Flight was started because of the date of the World War II Memorial opening up. Never opened till 2004. At that time, the average age of a World War II veteran was 85 or 86 years old. They were never afforded the ability to go in their youth, in their working years, at their leisure, to go see the memorial that was built in their honor. So somebody came up with the idea of getting together a couple of veterans. It was actually a doctor out in Springfield, Ohio, that a couple of veterans needed to see that, and they weren't able to get there themselves, so he brought them down on his own private plane. And by the time he got back, he had about 8 more veterans that wanted to go. So he knew at that point that this is bigger than we even know. So he basically started the Honor Flight at that point and knew that we had to get bigger planes, more people involved, get a system down, and get these World War II veterans down to their memorial. As of now, it's been there for 12 years. This is the 12th year that it's been open. And I wouldn't want to quote the number of veterans that have been down there, but it's a couple 100,000 that Honor Flight National Network has brought down altogether.
And the rest of us are so embarrassed that it hasn't been happening for the last 30 or 40 or 50 years. Because, there's a book called The Greatest Generation, and Tom Brokaw loved those people, and so do you and I. But we love all people who serve.
Right.
And you having been there numerous times, and me having talked with those people, and Kelvin having interviewed them, know what an impact it has on each one of these men and women who have gone. And we've mentioned it over and over again, and I'll mention it again till the day I die. We're losing those World War II veterans very quickly.
Very quickly, yes.
I mean, many are in their 90s, almost 100 years old. And every single one, this has been the highlight of their life. I talk about the mailbag. What a huge part of it, isn't it?
They come home and they're just so touched by that. And a lot of them, it's hard to imagine that a person of that stature and what he did in his youth to build this country does not know that people cared like that. And
unsung heroes.
Totally serious. They open that up and they get a tear in their eye and they say, I didn't realize they cared. And it's just...
How many families do I know where the little kids are doing the cards?
Oh my gosh.
And
we've got so many
mail call
schools
was a big
involved.
deal in the service, and it's
yeah.
a big deal now.
Very big. Yeah.
It's a long day for young people when you're leaving here at that hour of the day and you don't get back till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. For them, it's got to be exhausting but pleasing at the same time. And I've interviewed so many after saying, I never dreamed.
We've been very careful as to the return portion of the trip because of where we are, and it is such a long day. But we've noticed over the trips coming home, the veterans are all pumped and ready to go. They are
amazing?
not tired. They are ready for more if we've got it. And the guardians that go with them are dragging. They're the people that are tired. They're beat. They're they're worn out.
I'm glad you mentioned guardians because it was yesterday or the day before when some young man said, you know, I would love to be able to go sometime with those people. I said, can you spell guardian? Let me tell you who to call to get involved. Why is that being a guardian important? How does that work, Barry?
It's the guardian is assigned to a veteran, and each veteran has their own guardian for the whole day. Their responsibility is to take care of every need, whatever they can think of. That guardian is there to take care of it, and that goes from right first thing in the morning when they're picked up to when they get to the Oval, through the ceremony, over to the airport, on the plane, on the bus, at the memorials. It's a full-time job for the day. A lot of the times we require that all the veterans are in wheelchairs, whether they need it or not. It keeps everybody equal. It keeps the transport from the bus down into the World War II memorial very simple and organized, and everybody stays all together that way. We also do that up at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier for the changing of the guard. The wheelchairs are all in order. We all go down. We get a front row seat right against the rope with great viewing. And it's tough because there's a couple hills involved with the wheelchairs, and those guys are working hard. They're earning their keep. And of course, with a fundraising effort the way we do, to make sure that these veterans go absolutely free of charge, that nothing can come out of their pocket, we actually make sure and go out of our way that they do not spend a nickel that day. The guardians do pay their own way. They pay $400 to have the ability to go on that flight.
To me, that's amazing and wonderful.
We've never had anybody not say that that's the best $400 they've ever spent.
Yeah. Isn't it great?
It's
from teenagers to older adults to daughters and granddaughters to cousins and uncles.
We've had every type possible. We've had some that are a little bit upwards. We actually had one veteran go with his girlfriend who was a little bit younger than him, and we got away with that.
Bless his heart, it hurts too. You've been connected with Honor Flight in one way or another since the first flight.
Correct.
Did you ever dream you'd run the show?
No.
Here
Never
you
saw
are.
that coming.
Here you are. It's amazing what you can volunteer for, you know?
I missed one meeting, and the next thing I knew, I was director.
But you know
No,
what?
it's
Calvin and I like to congratulate people who do good things, and this is a good thing for you. Even though when you're 19 years old you didn't have any idea you'd be running the honor flight in 2016,
no.
it's important that you do. It's important that it's in good hands because it means so much to the people involved. So every flight is satisfying. I don't know how strong and healthy you are, how far into the future you're going to wear that king's hat.
Well, as long as they want me to, I feel that it's in great shape, like you say. I would never give something up and pass it off to something that's not, suitable. There's a lot of people in our organization. We've got some of the best volunteers.
It's true. Amazing
it
to
makes,
me. And gladly.
Yeah, it makes me look good because they are all such a well-oiled machine that each person's got their part and they go about their business and there's no fanfare. There's no, look at me kind of stuff. Nobody's doing it for the notoriety. They're doing it because it's something that comes out of their heart.
And the difficulty in planning it to make it as smooth as it looks on television.
Right.
That's how many hairs you pulled out of your head in the weeks and months beforehand. If people will just take a moment who are watching this program to imagine what it's like, first of all, to get a hold of a person who's probably in their 90s and say, would you like to go? And most of these people are so darn humble. They haven't shared their war experience with their own wives. I'll never forget one of the first shows Calvin and I did years ago was with a Navy guy who sat in his backyard and told us about experiences of being on an aircraft carrier with the kamikaze pilots, into the
Shooting
plane,
at
watching
you,
his
yeah.
friends get killed, and his own wife had not heard the stories. And it makes me want to sit there and weep because it's a time period that I grew up in.
Yes.
So I was very familiar with that. But these people, now you have to convince them that they're worthy of being honored.
Right. My hardest part that I'm dealing with right now is we've got probably 20 World War II veterans that I can't convince to go.
Really?
I'm trying to pull strings with other people.
No
We tried bringing
kidding.
in other veterans.
See.
For various reasons, they just don't feel they should go. I can only do so much. I'll stop after I know that they
Well, you can't force
understand.
them. Yeah.
Right. If they understand the type of day that they're in for, and what's about to happen and why we do it, and then they say no, I can accept that. This is going to be people. There's some people that just plain don't want to talk about the war. They've left it once and they're going to leave it there. I can accept that. I'm not going to bring up bad memories for anybody. The unfortunate part of that is we found that once our veterans do go and they get down to the memorial with other people that were over there with them wherever they were during the war, they're more apt to talk about it. Some of the families have called up and said, my gosh, he hadn't stopped talking about the war since he got back home.
Well,
And that's a great side effect.
those of us who never had to go or weren't asked to go, in my case, there was, the draft wasn't even going on because the Korean conflict had just finished when I got out of high school, can never fully understand what combat is like, even though they tell us over and over and over again. Like people who are watching this program, I hope by the time they finish watching this honor flight, and hopefully all the others, will have a renewed appreciation of what it's like to serve your country. Whether you're in direct combat or not, it's a slice of your life that you've given to preserve the freedom of your friends and family and so on and so on. And we talk about it and we believe it.
Absolutely.
So these people who've done it,
and
have
especially
my
this
undying
group.
gratitude, especially this group.
This group gave up their youth. I mean, some of them were 17. Some of them lied and went in at 16.
Think about it.
And had their parents sign off on it. And that's how bad they wanted to go do this. It was a national effort. And like I say, they gave up their youth for this. and then came back home and built the country.
Do you still show that movie every year?
Yes. We just showed it last week at Mariah Central School.
Tell people about the movie.
Oh my gosh.
I don't mind telling you that I wept openly when I watched it because, hey, if you're not moved by it, you're a very hard person. Tell me about the movie.
Very rarely do you see anybody that does not have a little speck in their eye. We call it the honor flight allergies when you get a little bit of something in the corner of your eye. It's a movie, and it basically shows part for part what we do as honor flight. But it goes into the story of 4 veterans and 4 different stories on how they came upon honor flight and what happened to them when they went on their honor flights. And it unfortunately falls after the return of the flight. And one of the guys was so thrilled to be able to make that honor flight, and then he ended up passing away a short period after that. Another one made his flight, and he seemed like a great guy, and turns out, he was fighting Alzheimer's and doing a great job of hiding it. So that started to kick in. So the stories that are in the movie are very much what we deal with on a monthly basis. Each flight is different. We've got different medical people that get involved as to how we assess people and what our best course of action is. So yeah, each flight, you just don't know what you're going to get. Some flights are perfectly healthy. Others you might have, oxygen tanks to deal with and stuff like that. Sometimes the Alzheimer's or dementia is a factor. That doesn't eliminate anybody from not going. That's where a family member is crucial, because not only is that veteran going and he's going to have a great day regardless, his family member can document that for the rest of the family.
Of course. So how many flights have you had so far, and how many people?
We've had 13 flights. We're coming up on number 14, and we've sent 198 veterans from right here. We're very proud of that number. That's compared to some of the hubs throughout the country, that's not a big number. We think for our little corner, we're doing quite well.
I love it. There it is. Our little corner. Yeah. It's certainly an honor to have the honor flight operating here out of Clinton County. We know how well they do downstate. We've watched them in Albany a couple of times and been very proud. But to do it right here, you've decided over the last couple of years to move inside for several reasons. Tell me all about that.
Well, the October 3rd flight last year, I believe the temperature was 28 degrees in the morning.
I remember.
When we all got there. And of course you're dealing with, the main thing is our veterans. It's about an hour ceremony. You don't want to cut short anything. I think each piece of that ceremony is important to that Veterans Day. So it was cold, and we're trying to rush it along a little bit. Not only the veterans, but all the bystanders that come and support us. We're not ready for that kind of a morning. Probably the worst off were our motorcycle escorts.
I'll never forget that first ride to Albany.
Oh my.
I have undying gratitude to all of our friends involved in that, carrying those flags from here to Albany. Calvin and I were on the bus, and all I did was shake my head and say, how can those guys do that?
Unbelievable. What a group.
What a group.
I think 125 went to Albany that day.
Think about it.
And the temperature was about the same.
Yeah.
But for that reason, and just because we live in the North Country, not knowing what we're going to get from 1 minute to the next, we moved the October 17th ceremony indoors at the City Rec Center.
Very impressive.
And we thought it went well. We took as many opinions as we could. We made some calls to find out what people thought, and everybody seemed to like it. The acoustics were better. You could hear the speakers better. Everything worked out. The veterans were happy. That's, of course, that's really all we care about for that day. And we thought it was a good idea. So we took a vote at a meeting and decided let's keep it indoors and take the weather risk right out of everything, and we know what we're dealing with.
So this one is inside.
Inside.
That's the city's allowed you to use that facility.
They've worked with us very well. Yeah. they have charges at certain points, but we've worked our way around them, and the mayor has helped us out, and we think we can do this without taking any of our money that's intended to put veterans on planes.
You know, the two things I want to mention, one of them is to reiterate the fact that we're losing our World War II veterans, and so you've come to include some other wars and conflicts.
Between the fact that we are running out of World War II veterans, which is the part we'll never catch up with, and the people that don't want to go, which we're still hoping to convince them one way or another and get some other people, family members mainly, involved, and getting those people to go. But the Korean War was only a mere 6 years after the World War II started the Korean.
Hard for me to fathom.
So those guys are no spring chickens either, you know.
Isn't that amazing?
They're getting up there. I think the average age of a Korean veteran now is in their mid-80s. So
think about that, yeah. 'Cause
yeah.
I'm going to be 79 in a couple of months, and these were a lot of my friends were just a couple, 2 or 3 years older than I were.
Yeah.
Who were in Korea. It was a terrible conflict, and I don't know how many young kids know about it, but you better learn.
Well, and
it was a tough.
And those guys
business.
got the bad end of the deal.
Oh gosh.
It was a political thing, and
Yep.
you know, you hear a lot of stories. It wasn't a war. It was police action. You can call it a
Talk
conflict.
about conflicts to me.
And I don't care where the foxhole was. If you're in a foxhole in Korea or in France,
conditions there were so bad during the Korean War.
Many of those guys we actually have issues with because of the wheelchairs, mainly because of the frostbite.
Yeah, and frostbite. I had so many friends who lost fingers, hands, feet, ears.
Yep, they never came back. They don't have feeling in their feet, and a lot of wheelchairs because of that.
The MASH units weren't as sophisticated back in those days as they are now, right, Barry?
No, I don't think so.
You know, the other thing I want to talk about, and some people don't like to talk about it, but in our case it's necessary. Raising money. Tell us about how that's like pulling teeth.
It's a tough gig. It's hard because it seems like you're always going after the same people. I'm always trying to think of different ways and maybe even some off-the-wall stuff to raise funds. We've gone the normal routes, which a lot of nonprofits do. The people of the North Country are amazing. They're just so generous. We find out most of the time that's all we have to do is ask. The other great group of people is our veterans and their families. Once they know what this entails and they fully understand what kind of day that is done for our veterans, then they get deeply involved, and we get quite a bit of donations just from people that have been or family members of people that have been. The fundraisers it's an ongoing process. It's a never-ending battle.
Every kind imaginable, from book sales to car washes to dances to whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, we got $10 yearbooks. They're out there ready to go whenever anybody.
Tell me a little bit about the yearbook. This happens to be last year's.
We do one every year. We found after the first year that we got all our veterans together, and it's a class. To them, it's a year that very much like a high school yearbook. It's got all the different flights in there with all the information. Any special events, we hope to capture the photos and include them in that yearbook.
It's an heirloom. It really is. It's something that we hope the people 50 years from now or 70 years from now will be saying, "Whoa, can you believe that was 2015? Look at those cars!"
Yep. And no, I'll tell you, our veterans are very proud of that when they open that up and they see their picture in there.
Have you done one since the beginning?
Yes.
Really? There's been one every year?
Yep. This is our third one.
Oh, isn't that just absolutely wonderful?
Yep. We've got a staff that works hard on that, Sharon and Pauline, and gosh, right on down the line. And of course, we get some help from Border Press Elaine and
good,
Jim
our good
Rochester.
friend. Are you
and,
kidding
oh my
me?
gosh.
I got to go up there today. They're putting. I'm going to go up there in a snowstorm, not just to thank them for all of that, but for doing a lot of good work for me over the years.
And they do.
They're such good friends, and Jim Rochester has been on the trip
Yep,
himself.
yep. Jim is a great veteran of ours, and he has been a great mouthpiece for us. Any chance he gets.
He's a wonderful person.
Yep.
Barry, I want to hear the names of the people going on this flight.
We've got quite a flight. We got a full flight of 9 World War II veterans. Of course, we had our whole winter time to round everybody up. So getting 9 is a pretty good number right now. A lot of the hubs throughout the country are totally all Korean veterans.
No kidding.
And some are actually into Vietnam veterans.
Oh, no kidding.
So we're hanging in there pretty well nationwide. 9 World War II and 5 Korean are going on this trip. Most of them are from right here in this area. I'll just run down the list because I know a lot of people do, and I know personally you know one of them.
Oh, yeah.
George Barber is going. Donald Bushman. Robert Bino. Don Campagna.
Don Campagna is my neighbor. What a good guy. What a good guy he is.
He's going to have a great day this day, I can tell you that.
Don, I can't wait.
Yep.
Okay.
Norm Dumas. David Ducher. Paul Hood. Bernhard Jacobitz. Robert Joyce. Ronald Leduc. Harold Pickering. Michael Tatro. Harold Bellinger, and Alfred Sines.
Wonderful. Now, if somebody wants to become a guardian, how do they go about it?
The guardian it goes in streaks. It seems like for a while there we were actually needing guardians, so we were taking applications and stocking them, and we actually used quite a few of them. Over the past 2 years, I'd say, we're more intent on finding the family members. It used to be a veteran would say, you know, I don't really have anybody to go with me, and we'd accept that and then put a guardian with them, whoever had sent in the application, you know, first, or if it was, we like to use our active military also. So it worked out well. And then we found out that if we dug just a little bit and read the application a little closer, that there was a family member available that was willing to go. And we find that's crucial because, like I say, now they can bring back the memories also and document the day and relay that to the rest of the family. So the guardians, it's occasionally that we need one, not too often.
That's great.
Our situation,
that's good news for me.
Yeah, with the plane itself too, we're always looking for seats, of course. That's our limiting factor. Our bus is bigger than our plane. So we have seats down in Washington for the day, but our plane seats are limited. So what we try to do, of course, we take 2 medical on every flight. So if there is a veteran that doesn't have a guardian, the first slot is filled by a medical personnel.
Aha.
So we like to have 2 with us on each flight, and it's been working out. We hope to never find out if we don't have a veteran that doesn't have a guardian where we're going to get our medical from, but we'll figure it out.
You know, we're lucky to have what we call the Plattsburgh International Airport here on the site of the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. I'm personally tied in with that base, having worked on construction to help build it when I was in high school, and to watch its progress through the years and to shed a tear when it closed, but to watch the flights. And so we're lucky to have the North Country Honor Flight right near the airport and to have planes willing to participate, right?
Very lucky. No, to have them there, it would be very similar to our first flight, which went out of Albany. You know, you got to add a 2.5-hour bus ride to each end of this day. Just not going to work for a lot of people. So to have it here, and then, you know, they leave here. The flight leaves at 9:30 and they're back home at 10 o'clock at night. It's not extremely, you know, out of the question, or where most people, like I say, the veterans don't have a problem at all. The guardians are ready to go to bed, but the veterans seem to handle it rather well.
Well, in the beginning, we always had a ceremony inside the international airport. What's that going to be like this year with all the construction?
We're holding all the ceremonies right here at the base
Right
gym.
here, the
Yep,
whole
it's
business.
all in one shot. Yep. Until the airport's either complete or close enough where the ceremony area is back open again. We've been told that it's not available for our first 3 flights at least. So we'll see what happens on the September 10th flight. It's possible we might have some activity over there again.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, Barry, I'm sure people who are watching this program who might live in this area, but some who don't, would like to somehow get involved with the North Country Honor Flight, either by taking out that checkbook and writing a generous check to you to Honor Flight, or by volunteering in some capacity. How would they go about it?
The best way is our website is nchonorflight.org. We've got some help with that. We've got a guy who's very good with computers that set that all up, and did a great job. And then he passed it off to one of our students up at Plattsburgh State.
That's great.
They've been getting very involved with Honor Flight and doing a great job for us. So one of the girls volunteered to do the website, and she's got everything in order and making changes. And soon we're going to have a photo log of every flight that we've
come
sent.
on.
So,
Oh, won't that be wonderful?
If a veteran wants to go on there and say, you know, I went on June of 2013, he can push that flight and see the photos from that flight. So we're very anxious for that. But it's also got the place for the download the applications, which is the important part. If anybody knows of a veteran that needs to go, or you know, we'll work on him the best we can. If he says no, even we'll take his name and hope for the best. But Guardian applications are on there also. There is a place to donate by PayPal. That can go through that way, or there's an address where people can just mail us checks.
It's wonderful. I have to say that at a recent event at the Crate Center, Calvin and I had the good sense and the time to interview some of the young people from the college. I was impressed. What super young men and women.
Unbelievable. And their involvement is just, every day it's something different. It seems like they call up and say, oh, by the way, we're going to do this.
Isn't that great?
And they're going to all the senior citizen housing to make sure we haven't missed any veterans. They're going to the different churches and trying just to see if they can find any veterans to get to go with us. They're thinking outside the box that we've been thinking, and hopefully it's going to work. And they're also doing a great job of fundraising. They've had probably 10 different events. The big one was we had a movie day last weekend at the Hawkins Hall, and they showed the movie Casablanca.
Oh gosh!
And it was a great movie. It was a great time.
I don't watch many movies, but I watched that one over and over and over.
And you know the lines.
Oh my gosh! Of course.
So yeah, they're doing stuff like that, and it's been a great help to us.
Barry, before we wrap it up, first of all, I want to ask you is there anything else that I didn't think of to ask you that you'd like to add right now?
I think mainly if we could get people to come to our events. It's early. It starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's late. They come back at 10 o'clock at night. We're going to start building up the return a little bit. We find
that's a great idea.
Yeah, we're going to try to get some activities involved, and they're getting bigger and bigger with every flight. More schools are involved. Seton Catholic comes all the time, and they actually come and make signs for the veterans and give them the signs afterward. And each of those signs becomes a treasured memento for those veterans. You can go to their house and they'll show you that sign. It means a lot to them. And different schools are coming. We've had the Shazy girls soccer team came in one game, one flight. The Plattsburgh State men's baseball team came one flight. The last flight, the Plattsburgh State men's basketball team came, and the men's lacrosse team.
Isn't it wonderful? I love it. And we can't forget at least at Saranac and you know that wonderful club and all that she's done and they've done up there in Saranac.
The Freedom Club, it's like a partnership with Honor Flight. They're going to be here for our May 14th flight. They are meeting us at the memorial down in Washington.
Isn't that
At least I think it's around 50 of her students are going to be down there. And
nobody's more dedicated to veterans than she is.
My goodness.
In her personal life, in her public life.
I don't know where
She's
she
an
finds
amazing
time.
and wonderful young woman.
Absolutely.
I just adore her friendship and what she and how she cares. You know.
Absolutely. How she finds time to do all that, and then she still maintains a relationship with the students afterwards.
Of course.
And she's changing those kids' lives. There's no doubt about it. They're getting opportunities to do things that they never would have had without her.
Well, you know, people always love the area in which they live and go to school. Calvin and I and you, Barry, kind of favor this area that we live in Clinton County, in what is truly northern New York, upstate New York.
Especially Calvin.
And the people here are very special. You mentioned the magic words in the beginning. When you ask, they say, how much? What can I do? It's a truly special place to live and work. I want to offer my personal thanks to you for everything you've done and will be doing. As long as you have the good health, you get a good night's sleep every now and again.
Occasionally, yeah.
I know the North Country Honor Flight will prosper and be successful and will touch a lot more lives in the future. This just happens to be the first one in 2016, and if you have anything to do with it, it'll be perfect.
We're hoping basically the same as all the rest. We've had very good luck with everything we've done, and we hope this falls right into play. And 14 veterans come home from the end of the day with a day of a lifetime and something they'll never forget.
I love it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Gordy.
Thank you, Calvin,
Thank
for
you,
holding
Calvin.
the camera.
Yeah.
Thanks for our listeners for supporting what we do. And just keep watching Hometown Cable in our little corner.